I'm going to stick with wealth, actually, but I was meaning more emotional wealth than, hey, no, maybe it is money. You have got the Wheel of Fortune here, but that's coming up. Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Sunchild Tarot. Now this is a general reading for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, North Node, whatever area of your chart you're wanting to look at. I do advise always watch at least your Rising as well as your Sun, and if you only got time to watch the one, watch your Rising. And you can find out what that is because there's a link down below to get yourself a birth chart if you're not familiar with your chart already. So, as a general reading rules apply. It won't get too specific because I'm reading for a number of you, but the reading either is for you or it isn't. The past and the present in the reading should show you whether it's for you or not. If it's not yours, go and watch your Rising, your Moon, whichever. Now, timing's not absolute in tarot. Roles can get reversed if someone else turns up in the reading and I don't immediately twig that it's you because the cards don't that it's not you, sorry, because the cards don't have name tags. I don't think that happens a great deal, but it seems to be quite fashionable to say that, and nobody's ever told me one way or another, so I don't know. So comment down below if that happens. As for other housekeeping, there is a link down in the description for the Facebook page for this channel. That has its own inbox, so if you're interested in getting a private reading, a personal reading from me, feel free, get in touch. There was something else I was going to say. Yes, with this particular reading, if you want to ask a question beforehand, feel free. So take a moment, pause the video if you have to, think about all of the questions that are going around you right now and pick one of them. Be aware of all of them because the cards will answer whatever they please. But pick one of them, focus on it, and hopefully I will return that energy that you donate to the process by giving you a reading that means something to you. Bear in mind, when you're watching general readings on YouTube, all they're there for is to confirm stuff you already know, really. Or that, you know, just to highlight what your own intuition has already been telling you. So, if by any chance you listen to the reading and go, yeah, that's not me. No, you're right, it's not you. Don't pay attention to it if it's not for you. And don't make any decisions on the basis of what I say. Just use it as considering to compare it to your own intuition and your own common sense even more. Okay, that's my lecture over on the housekeeping. Let's get into it. Let me bring up the cards because I think I've said everything. So there's, if I remember correctly, Leo, some of the readings that I've done for you recently have, well, I don't want to say they've been pretty poo, but they have shown that there's been a fair amount of chaos around you. Emotional, domestic, certainly arguments and agendas that have been clashing against one another. Now we have the payoff. We have here from the Oracle cards, Gaia's Garden, fruition, abundance, reaping what you sow. This is very much, it's a harvest card, you could call it, and it is you reaping the results of the work that you have done already. Let me switch cameras. So next to that we have Menadel with inner and outer work, and I honestly think that you are coming to a conclusion of a process. Not the end, that, you know, for when it comes to inner and outer work, never the end, ever. You know, we are all fighting Superman's never-ending battle when it comes to inner work and shadow side work and all that sort of stuff. However, there is a topic or a period or a flavour that is coming to a head or coming to a conclusion for the time being until you peel back and get the next layer of it. And you've earned it because you are being reminded to remember that Well, I mean, this card number 40, it's beauty out of the Wisdom of the House of Night Oracle. And it basically says, remember, you are beautiful. But yes, that you are valid, that you have a right to be you, because nobody else is going to do it, so you might as well. But there's also, with Zadkiel, the Angel of Mercy here, there's a level of you being forgiving to somebody. There's a level of you asking forgiveness, which is essential to that process of you also being forgiving and having it mean anything other than in the inside of your own mind. Because remember, with this Gaia's Garden, Gaia's gifts are best when shared. So this is not just you benefiting from all the inner work that you've done, but other people around you. And rightly so, you know, because if you've overcome something or reached a conclusion with something or triumphed in something, why shouldn't you spread the wealth? Or the joy, or the I'm going to stick with wealth actually, but I was meaning more emotional wealth than hey, you know, maybe it is money. You have got the Wheel of Fortune here, but that's coming up. That's a period where I think you're going to have some very pleasant surprises coming up here. But anyway, where there is this forgiveness being issued and where you are learning to value yourself, you are also being reminded to look at the bigger picture, which is what this full moon in Sagittarius. So yeah, look at the bigger picture. Remember, the shadow side of Sagittarius is that it can be very much the guru, because they want to explain, they want to teach. They don't always know what it is that they're teaching. Sorry, Sag, but there's but it's also interesting that it's a fire sign, because you have, from the Saints and Mystics, Harry Houdini, that sense of mastery over a skill, mastery over part of your life, which is what that self-esteem card is talking about, and this forgiveness card is talking about. The inner and outer work, the Gaia's Garden, it's all about inner work that you've already gone through. And I think the astrology supports this, but I'm not going to go into detail. Well, I can't go into the details. I can't remember all the ins and outs of it yet. But I think we can sum that up with Pluto going direct. But Aries got this card as well. So there's all of fire here. You are fire. Your card, the Sun, is appearing on the bottom of the Gilded Tarot deck, this top spread that you can see. And with Sagittarius, that's all three fire signs present in the reading. So there's really this sense of surging forward, which is a process you've already started with this Ace of Wands here. I feel like there was some form of dream that you were wanting to go ahead with, and it was almost as if, to start off with, you weren't quite sure. You weren't quite, do I or don't I? I feel a tentativeness. Because it required a lot of change. But I do believe that this was something that it required a lot of change, but a lot of mastery of your own. It was almost like you were taking charge, but for you to take charge, that required so much change with this Death card here. And I think there was an internal as well as an external change. But then we go to the Ace of Wands. You started surging ahead, but you were immediately called to protect what it was that you was doing, or to protect your homestead. and to protect something that you were seeing value in. Now, I believe that this effort has paid off. 10 of Pentacles here, in a very, very grounded way, which has allowed you to, that dream that you had, right, I see, you taking charge and creating this direction was independent of the dream that you had. It was something that really you needed to do anyway, but this dream that you had was a motivating force to do this, and now you have recently just got to the point where you can really express that dream. You can really express the effect that that dream can have on the world, and it's something that you have put a lot of work into, but there have been traps that you have been aware of. Notice in your hopes and fears we have the Devil card, and we also have the Devil card here just recently, where you had received the results, you know, you had received the harvest that you already had. But I think in and of itself, that that harvest was a trap. And so you're back to the point of, do I surge ahead with this dream or not? Am I going to actually do this? Because you've done the prep work, you've done the inner and outer work, and your dream had come into fruition. But we have the Hanged Man showing that there is a delay, and that delay has been one that's there to show you something. You know, the delay in itself, stuff that you have learnt during that delay is assisting you. It's helped you flesh that dream out even more, I think, because Ace of Cups with Bua here echoing. So we've got the 2 Ace of Cups there. That, if anything, from something that looks a little bit like an alien egg, but it's actually a stone, as the Ace of Cups. From for some reason I was led to using as my third deck this month Tarot Z, which is basically a zombie tarot. But there's you were also given, as that dream coalesced, you were also given, and you can do it this way, or you can do it this way, or you can do it this way, and there's an element of, wait, hang on a minute, that's maybe a bit too, almost like a few too many options. But you were also given the chance to convince somebody that this change is happening, that this change is real, because we have also on the 7 of Cups in the Demon Possessed Tarot, and makes one cunning in liberal sciences, gives true answers on divine and secret things, able to turn others into different forms and convince them that the change is real. Now they're 2 very different statements, aren't they? Able to change someone into a different form, and to convince them that it's actually happening. 2 quite specific actions. But when it comes to the fear, the fears. So you're concerned that what you are trying to accomplish is going to create yet more conflicts. I'm saying yet more from the previous readings. So if the previous readings aren't relevant for you, ignore that. But more conflict anyway. You're worried that you're operating under some form of illusion, and if you are split between 2 poles, as much as one pulls and then the other pulls, you're not necessarily able to balance them. You're not necessarily able to be anything other than just victim to pulling one way, pulling the other, like King Canute in the tides. You know, he may order the tides to stop, but they're going to ignore him totally. And have you got the strength to deal with all of that, or will you be limiting and trapping yourself in that process? But what I will say is that I do feel that there's a certain element of, from this particular devil card, there's a certain element of someone coming in to advise. Someone coming in to advise who understands the limitations that you are operating on. So maybe you've been to seek advice, or you are wanting advice, or you've had advice and you're not really sure whether to take it or not. Now, you see me keep looking to one side here because we have from the Oracle deck here, and I feel that this is relevant, the Keeper of Whispers. Now, you're going to have to forgive me. This is a new Oracle deck, and I don't know it yet. So, here we are. It's called the Mad Prophet. And that's why I was like thinking of this person coming in who either has good stuff or bad stuff for you. So let's have a look. The madman known as the Keeper of Whispers dwells in a hollow below the Valley of Saints. Save for his rare moments of lucidity, he spends his days scrawling the full and complete history of mankind in an indecipherable scroll that no one but he can read, and which he cannot explain even if anyone were listening to his ravings. That links in with the Hanged Man there, I see. So there's some advice that where you was given all these options, there was some advice that you were given that it's almost like you go, how does that help? And I think it's one of those things that will actually help. Because when you've got the phrase, the Mad Prophet, to me the important part of that is not the mad bit, it's the prophet bit. So whatever advice that you've been given that has made you go, you're what? And, you know, how does that affect the price of bacon? Then just let it sink in. It's probably one of those things that will just bubble up again at some weird moment, and all of a sudden you just get all right, I see. Right, so that's the recent past and a bit of the present covered. So, so you are being called to move fast at the moment. You are being called to drive forward. We've got both, we've got the Knight of Wands and the Page of Swords here. 2 pages, Page of Cups. So that there could be an emotional element to all of this. There could be some message that you've certainly received that's an emotional one. And it's also, I've got this great dream. Do I do it now? Do I abandon it now? But there is a harvest with this Empress and Gaia's Garden, remember, that you can use. There's something that you have through your own work. You have through your own strength and work. 8 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles. Well, 9 of Discs, I think, on this deck. You really have constructed something worthy. And this is something that you might be finishing off at the moment, but that you already have constructed. Now, this might be an emotional thing. This might be a real world thing. But either way, I think... yeah, either way, I think the gods are going to be blessing it. Because you have the strength to go ahead with this. It's almost like you are... something happens, Wheel of Fortune. So a mysterious something, a surprise something. Happens that gives you, whereas there's a bit of a wishy-washy emotional footing here, it's like, okay, right, I'm gonna do it because go ahead, 6 of Wands, look at me, I'm beautiful. There's you know, it's, oh no, let's get rid of the glare off of that. I'm beautiful. I'm flawed. Because remember, this is what Zadkiel says, reveal your flaws. Reveal your flaws to those who are able to judge you, is what it actually says. So if you are talking in terms of a partner or a boss or a close friend, or that sort of, not necessarily physically, but that sort of intimate relationship. You know, if you're working for a small business, you will have a fairly intimate relationship with your boss. They're going to know you really well. You're going to know them really well. If you, that could be a friend, that could be, like I say, it could be a partner, it could be a parent, a sibling, those sort of close relationships where it's a good idea. And they probably already know your faults and flaws, but it's a good idea, one, for them to know your faults and flaws so that they can work with you better. Two, for you to demonstrate that you also have awareness of your faults and flaws, because then when you're pointing theirs out, you've got a platform to stand on, but can also work with them better, because that act of balancing... Ooh, that's weird. That act of balancing and following your intuition, once you're on this victorious path, is setting you on a level where you are able to take control and steer the situation that you are in. But from your intuition, the situation that you are in will rise up somehow. It will elevate somehow. And there may be something that you've been expecting to come into being or rise up or materialize or what have you, it's actually going to happen here, because this is in a process of you leveling up. You are leveling up due to the amount of work that you have been putting into this, and by the very act of listening. But we've got 8. And then the 9 of Wands, which also indicates that this process is nearly over. So whatever it is that you are starting to really set up now, that you've had an introduction or a preface. All this stuff that I said was the past and the present in this reading. Then you're having a beginning and a middle and an end of the setup, of the creation. 9 of Wands says that's the middle of the end, but I also feel like you are putting something to one side, putting a negative influence of some form or another to one side to enable you to start rebirthing yourself. 9, as I've said in all my readings, is the number of rebirth, and then we lead straight into the Judgment card, the Transformation card. It's almost like there's so much I was getting from this card, because his helmet, if I hold it to the camera, you'll see his helmet looks to me like the winged helmet of Hermes. So that it's not just a transformation, it's a message at the same time. There's also an element of duty. You are needing to transform to fulfill what you are doing, but you're so close to that anyway, with Menadel and Gaia's Garden here. And you may be feeling like that everything is at the whims of chance at the moment. Well, yeah, it is. And that chance is going to turn in your benefit. But here, it is a duty to take that chance and to work with whatever burden you are taking on in a practical sense, in a slow sense. Transformation with you, fast. Transformation in the situation, slow. Because as I said, there's so much work involved here, but that work is going to keep revealing secrets. As long as you are not... these 2 piles here are... let me see, they are a potential future or two potential futures. And I immediately feel that they're different. They are different futures, because you were worried about the effects of the moon. You were worried about lies and illusion and misapprehensions and having the wrong information. And if you are reacting on the wrong information, then I'm afraid your dreams will remain just that, dreams, although they will the situation will change fast in the process. But if you have the strength to pick up the burden, even though, yes, you are losing something, what you keep, what you remain with, is more than enough for you to carry on forward. And again, Three of Swords here, but I'm feeling like there is a pain that you are bringing to the surface, and by bringing it to the surface, you are unleashing something for the better. You are freeing something. So again, we've got that vibe of Zadkiel and the inner and outer work going on with that. Now, the way other people are affecting you, well, they're not affecting you fast enough. You know, you're having to be very, very strategic in how you handle them, but there's someone around you that is spending time being blind to the efforts that you are putting into this. But I do believe that that is somebody who, even though they've got the wrong information, you really want to protect them. And they are moving slowly, and they are recognizing that you are also moving slowly, or at least in their eyes, you're moving slowly. It might not feel like that inside of you, but they are slowly recognizing the change, or they are recognizing that you are slowly changing. One of the others. Now, in the flavour of the previous readings, there is an element of the conflict is not over. But I almost feel like all of this is setting you up for, oh, I get it, for some form of debate that you want. It's not conflict, it's debate. It is jousting, because this actually feels, it's Five of Wands. Now, with the Five of Wands, I can feel happy, or I can feel concerned, you know. With this one, I feel like there's some very strong opinions, i.e. they're beating the crap out of each other with their wands. But at the end of this, they all put the wands down and go to the pub together, you know. So there's a bond here that is not easily broken. And the fact that you may be working to keep people in line with your dreams, I think that you have quite a chance there. But bear in mind that your dream in itself, in the practical execution of it, is going to keep changing. It's going to be a dynamic thing. What you want today to bring your dream into being is not what you will want in 3 days' time, 4 weeks' time, 6 weeks' time. Because as more information and skill is coming in, how you envisage that final result is, of course, changing. And why shouldn't it? Because you are, at the moment, trying to condense it down from a whole number of options that you've been given, and quite possibly the advice of someone where you didn't understand a blooming word what they were talking about. But it will come clear, it will make sense. And when it all slots into place, it's going to slot into place really quite fast, which is what this very ingenious zombie here for the Eight of Wands has, because this zombie is carrying a hammer, a zombie using a tool. You know, that's taking the zombie up to the intelligence of a raven. Maybe not that far. But there's that chance of growth, that chance of fast growth. So whereas the growth is slow at the moment, it is going to speed up. Bear in mind there's this Eight of Wands here as well, as long as you are not swept away by any misapprehensions yourself. So if you are making a concerted viewpoint based on a certain number of facts, check that they really are facts. Check that they really are true. Check that the information is right. The thinking hasn't shifted along. You know, like if you was basing it on a theory of physics, are you using a theory that was popular 20 years ago and has since been outmoded and discarded? Or are you using today's theories? Or are you operating under so-and-so said this, but it turns out that actually so-and-so was completely wrong. You know, they well got their facts mixed up or had been fed duff information from somewhere. So there's a constant process of review here, but this review, certainly from now onwards, is going more external, because I believe a lot of the internal review is coming to a head. And in effect, I suppose it's time to put your money where your mouth is and demonstrate this transformation. I actually feel really, really good about the reading. You end up in a good place. There's a lot of hard work, still some drama, but if the other readings that I did for Leo over the past few months are relevant, then it's such a change of focus of the drama, and it's still drama, but it's less than it was. It's less mean, it's less aggressive, it's less cutting, it's a totally different topic. And it's almost like that sense of, this is a refreshing change. So it's still drama, but more, I won't say enjoyable to go through, but not as unenjoyable to go through as the previous drama was. So if this means anything to you, Leo, comment down below. Obviously, like, share, subscribe if you would. The like helps the video gain prominence, and if it was good for you, then please help the video gain prominence. Someone else can share in that. And if you subscribe to the channel, it really helps. It really, really helps. So comment down below, like I said, if it means anything to you. I will finish these readings and then keep an eye open for your Chinese zodiac readings. Will be the next lot that I'll be doing after this. All right, cheers.